What the crap? Oh God, I wasn't really expecting anything today. I wasn't expecting anything. I wasn't expecting Obi-Wan Kenobi to start off by dropping 20 tier 1 subs on my face. Ow!
No,
Ow!
really? Wait.
20.
That's
20.
crazy.
20.
Brett, you look like you didn't take the initial signs seriously and didn't make it to the bathroom in time. I know that they can't see or hear you, but that's the experience sometimes.
Yeah. Luckily, no one can. I'm neither seen nor heard. John, I don't have it today. Luckily, no one knows this, but I don't have it yet.
No, we just need to fool them into thinking that we do. When we have an hour like that leading up to the show, I don't even remember what I produced 2 hours ago. Like, I have no idea.
Hey, John.
Because of the chaos wins.
I just took something. I think it's some kind of potassium pill. It was labeled PCP. Is that potassium?
Mm-hmm.
Potassium. Potassium.
How are you feeling? Are you feeling invincible?
I don't know.
Hey, 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
I taste like I got butter inside.
Someone in chat said, John is Dragon Daddy. Does that make Brett Dragon Baby?
I'm Dragon Zaddy. And you fart know it.
I guess not worse, but it's bad.
Oh, Zerve is doing. Oh God, so much activity on my thing.
Can we get rid of Nightbot? I thought Nightbot did good things.
Yes, it does.
What's wrong with Nightbot? Oh my God, today.
Intro.
Hello, everyone, to the show. It's a show.
How you say that?
It's gonna be a show, I guess, Brett.
I'm sorry. I typically have to wait for my intro, but that's not how words do. Hello, everyone, to the show. Welcome to the show. Hello, everyone.
We've had a morning, everyone. We've had 2020 in the last 90 minutes. Nobody needs to know this, and I doubt it's going to interest anyone, but we had this whole new thing set up. Everything new and shiny and advanced, and it's too much. Like, our ambitions, our appetite was bigger than our stomach. So I'm now looking into the crystal clear, stunning, built-in webcam on my couple years old iMac. Hey, everybody.
Just to underscore all of that, John, just so you know, like, my room, this room that I'm in, over there are 3 iMacs just stacked up. Because right before this all happened, I robbed a truck called TYT. Right before this all happened, I'd had the same iMac for 12 years. No, for like 8 years. It was a 2012 iMac. And it died. And the only thing that worked was the monitor. So I bought a new iMac because I felt fancy. And I had them both ready on my desk. And then coronavirus happened, so I had to replace them. And those went over there. And then I had to go to the studio and get my computer. So I have 3 computers on the old coffee table.
You can make Mega Desk Computer Edition.
It's not worth it, John. None of it's
no, it's probably not worth it.
No. I love the audience, and literally the audience and my wife are the only 2 things keeping me going. Sort of my wife, but mostly the audience. Thank you. Without you, I die of not trending.
Yeah.
It is over for me. I hate it.
You're like a weird digital Tinkerbell. I've always said you're like a weird digital Tinkerbell. So somebody's like, GoFundMe for new iMac for Dragon Daddy. No. This is a stop. No, we're gonna get it right. Everything's gonna work.
The worst part
everything broke. YouTube broke. We don't even know why.
John's predicament is he is surrounded by the materials needed. Like, that's what makes it worse, I think.
It's a lot of complex stuff, and people who work here are asked to just like meld everything together. No, I'm surrounded by cameras. There's cameras everywhere. I'm sitting on a camera, but right now it's iMac. And so what we're going to do is we're going to give you the iMac webcam of political morning shows today. So we're going to be talking about the last day of the RNC. We're going to be talking about Nancy Pelosi, Jim Gaffigan. We generally try to mash those two things together. And we're also, of course, going to be giving you our garbage people of the week. The first one, since I moved back into this abandoned and apparently falling apart studio. So that should be a lot of fun. We also have your community garbage person of the week. So that should be fun. Brett, should we do this thing?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay, well, I'm going to do it. Feel free to weigh in. If you start
maybe throughout the show, I'll start to feel something. And if that happens, oh, you'll know.
Okay, I'm going to try to stimulate a feeling in you and in the audience. And if I do, please hit the like button, share the stream so that people can gaze upon the sort of washed over image of me and Brett's crystal clear video that he's getting from my camera.
Thanks to John. Thanks to John. I also just want someone to clip out, I will stimulate a feeling in you.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay, you know what? We're only a sixth of the way through the entire show, so why don't we do this thing? How about it? Okay.
Yeah.
So all this week we've had the RNC, and it was all building to last night, where Donald Trump was going to take to the stage and accept the nomination of the Republican Party, which he did, although not without a little bit of a stumble.
My fellow Americans, tonight, with a heart full of gratitude and boundless optimism, I profoundly accept this nomination for President of the United States.
So really fast, before we get to the substance of this, which way was he being weird or stupid or bumbling there? Did he mean to say proudly, or does he think profoundly works in that context?
He's an idiot, and I've stopped with it all. It's so funny. I don't know. I want to give a hat tip to the folks over at The Daily Show who put together this this mashup of Trump essentially saying that, and all these people at Fox News saying that, oh, it's such a huge accomplishment for Biden to be able to read off a prompter. Oh, wow, fancy that. Any idiot can read off a prompter. And then they went through and pulled all the times that Trump, the idiot, could not read off a prompter.
Yeah, that was great. We thought about playing some of it, but we can only do so much Daily Show. What was it? It was 10, was it 20 times where he could not read a word off the prompter, which is fine, I guess. But they just got done attacking Biden for properly reading off of a prompter, but they don't mind him. And I don't know. I don't care, I guess, if he's bumbling and all of that, but they're still going with Biden is falling apart. Like, I feel like you should at least be fair about that. Anyway, his speech, I'm not going to lie to you. I checked out on it. Like 15 minutes in, 20 minutes in, I turned to my wife and I said, let's take our dogs for a walk. I can't take this anymore. And so we went out on a nice walk in the LA night. And we had a nice long walk. And when we came back, he was still talking and he wasn't close to being done. And so it was very long. It was very boring. And that's not just me saying that. Even that night on Fox, some were echoing the same sort of thoughts.
Well, there certainly were impressive fireworks on the Mall, but I have to say I was surprised at the lack of fireworks in the president's speech tonight. First of all, it was far too long, 70 minutes exactly, and I thought at times it felt more like a State of the Union speech, like a campaign speech. But I have to say, in his delivery, again, I thought the president, who we have seen really turn on a crowd, was surprisingly flat, and it didn't seem to have the bite that he usually does have in his speech.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess the thing is, if you have to choose between a whole bunch of crazy lies and fear-mongering and racism and all of that versus him being boring, I guess, hypothetically, I prefer the boring. But the thing is, he was doing all of that lying. He was saying insane things, but he was saying it in this tone of voice, which I guess that's him trying to seem presidential or have gravitas, that you speak at this cadence.
But the outdoor audience, it was so creepy. Like, we've all been to weddings that we have to go to, but we don't want to be there. We'd rather be home.
Ouch.
It's a destination wedding. at like John's, and then I don't remember your wedding at all.
It was good.
I do remember it. Sorry, I have a terrible memory for events. Now I remember it. It was nice. Whatever. Thanks for the invite.
You spoke at it, you monster.
I did. I was having trouble. It was a really great venue. Let's talk about your wedding more, John. Let's have
Just go back to Trump.
I was talking about Trump, and you're like, my wedding, I'm in love. Idiot. Okay, so looking out at the audience throughout that, first thing we all think is like, wear a mask, you morons.
Oh, we're going to get to that. Don't worry.
Right. But second, like Trump made that speech because he wanted it to look impressive, and he wanted to essentially do something that violates the Hatch Act, that violates norms, that violates essentially the rule saying that you can't use the backdrop of the White House. It was designed to give you home field advantage. You should and everyone should do it at the convention. But it just felt empty. He didn't, all the people, it was like these obligatory clapping moments, and everyone else just, when they went out and showed the crowd, it looked like they just wanted to go home.
Yeah, there were, they did clap sometimes, and there were standing ovations. Like, I think it's fair to say the biggest applause line, both for him and for Ivanka, was moving the embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. Like, that seemed like the biggest genuine applause line that they had.
It is Church of Trump. It is Tower of Babel. That's it. Because look, it's just like church. You go there. They use this building to make it look impressive. You have to stand every so often. Then you have to sit back down. This guy who is trying to appeal to evangelicals has turned himself into the Pope of the Catholic Church of Trump.
Yeah, It was odd how restrained he was, how restrained the audience was with Ivanka. And Ivanka gave, like, I guess a more reasonable speech. She lied constantly, but she really, I guess Republicans will like it, but she built in so many pauses for applause, and she would get that like couple second delayed reluctant applause. And I'm like, this is your God's daughter.
Yeah.
Show a little respect. Be on that thing. If you're going to polite clap, do it politely.
There's a lot that goes into it. Like, did they mic the audience right? Is the audience ready for that? Like, it's and that moment of clapping. It's like when you watch like The Office, and then you go back to watching multicam sitcoms. You're like, oh, this is just an awkward, fake experience. Yeah. We've been watching the single cam. That's what it's called, single cam version of this sitcom. And then they went back to like, filmed before a live studio audience. And if you looked at Wilbur Ross, a barely live studio audience.
Yeah. Now, you pointed out that he has the home field advantage. You're obviously not supposed to use the White House for this. And I'm sure that if Biden ends up doing it because the norm has been shattered, Fox is going to go back to hating it. And I guess they will in some sense be right, but it's going to be a little bit hypocritical. Anyway, I want to show you. That was sort of the beginning of his speech, was that he profoundly does whatever, and he's very profound of himself. But let's go to the end of the speech.
Pictures from the South Lawn, and now the fireworks on the National Mall. A first in our history, a political convention on the South Lawn of the White House, the People's House. Thousands of cheering supporters on this pandemic summer night in mid-August watched as Donald Trump, among other things, formally accepted his party's renomination during a long speech on this night, his name spelled out in fireworks. The president talked up our mortality rate tonight, though in truth, over 3,500 Americans have died just during these 4 days.
That was pretty good for Fox, I think.
That wasn't Fox. That was Brian Williams.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
No, that was MSNBC.
Yeah, I thought it was.
And you know how I know it's Brian Williams? Because everything he's saying is like this. When he and his wife conceived Marnie from Girls, he said, I'm close. It's about to happen. I'm going to take a nap.
I'm gonna leave anyway. You're right. Okay, I gave too much credit. I guess Chris Wallace being willing to criticize his energy led me to believe that they were being very critical. But no, he's not supposed to be doing it. You're not supposed to be sitting on the White House lawn for a political speech and then watching the fireworks on the National Mall. And who paid for the fireworks? Probably us. We'll probably never know. You're not supposed to have events like that, which we'll get to. So anyway, the entire thing is messed up, but acknowledging that, more people died during the pandemic, during the RNC than died on 9/11, that should put it in context. But America, while not immune to the virus, is definitely immune to context at this point.
It's so inappropriate that while he's spelling his name out in fireworks, behind the other fireworks, the conventional ones are the exact same shape and look as the coronavirus.
Exactly.
Every firework just was like coronavirus, perfect sphere with little spikes. That is the virus over
That is true.
DC.
That is true. Okay, so I do want to return to one point though, because maybe this is just me nitpicking. Maybe this is me misreading that he's trying to go for that tone thing, or this is a different Trump. He's mixing it up. He's being presidential. I don't know. But while the things he was saying were crazy, the way he was delivering them, I don't get the people, including sometimes Janko I disagree with on this, that think that he sort of doesn't want to win or whatever. But when you see a video like last night, he just doesn't really seem to care too much. And so the recount put together a great mashup of bits of his speech in 2020 and his speech in 2016. They were doing it to show that he was saying the same things, which is true. He was saying basically the same lines. But I want to show you just a bit of their video. You can go watch the full thing on Twitter. That's not what I want you to focus on. I want you to focus on the comparison between how he delivers each set of lines.
Protect free speech for all Americans. Protect free speech on college campuses. I am your voice. I am fighting for you. We will make America safe again. We will make America safer. We will make America proud again. We will make America prouder. And we will make America great again. And we will make America greater than ever before. God bless you and good night. I love you. I love you all. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you very much.
It honestly seemed less like a comparison of Trump versus Trump, and like what if Kimberly Guilfoyle gave the speech versus Trump? So there's a huge difference. Am I overreading this in my mind? Is it just the context of being outside?
No, he's obviously performing differently. Maybe it's because he's out of practice because he hasn't been in front of a big audience in a while. But you'd think it would make him excited, but. Usually when you're in a big venue like that, they pump the air conditioning, especially because your performance is better when you're cold, period. And
is that true?
Yeah. Comedy audiences will laugh more. Comedy performers will be funnier when it's cold.
It's interesting.
And all performances, you make it cold. If it's warm, they get tired and they fall asleep.
Interesting. Yeah, it definitely seemed like a massive difference in energy. And I guess, look, to be fair, I hated the earlier stuff because he seemed like a raving maniac. So I guess I should prefer this. The issue is that the tone is a little bit different. The energy is a little bit different. I don't mean tone as in a sort of like zoomed out view of what he's saying. I mean literally like his tone of voice is different. But he was saying the same crazy things. He was demonizing protest movements and stuff like that. So it was different. I'm not sure it was that much better. And in terms of what Donald Trump actually said last night, normally what we would do in a situation like this is we'd go through all of the fact checks and everything. But one, I just don't have it in me right now. Two, I don't know that it actually matters. And three, Daniel Dale on CNN pretty much did the job for us. So here is just a little portion of his rapid fire fact checking of Donald Trump's speech last night.
He said he will always, and Republicans will always, strongly protect people with pre-existing conditions. That pledge has already been broken. He and they have repeatedly tried to weaken those protections in Obamacare. He claimed again that he banned travel from China and Europe. No, he imposed partial restrictions with many exemptions. Tens of thousands of people continue traveling over. He boasted about the COVID testing system and about his general response. Look, experts near universally say the U.S. was fatally slow in its response, especially slow in setting up adequate testing. He said that he ended what he called a NAFTA nightmare, and he signed a brand new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, the USMCA. That agreement preserves, maintains most of NAFTA. He boasted about building about 300 miles of border wall. What he didn't say is that most of that is a replacement barrier. As of August 7th, according to official data, just 5 miles had been built where none existed before. He suggested that Joe Biden would confiscate guns. That's baseless. Biden is running on a non-mandatory buyback of so-called assault weapons. He said Democrats want to defund the police. Biden, again, doesn't, has rejected that. He denounced Biden for voting for the Iraq war. Biden did indeed vote for the Iraq war, but what Trump doesn't mention is that he also supported that invasion. He said Democrats twice removed the word God from the Pledge of Allegiance at their convention. 2 individual caucus meetings outside the main primetime programming did leave it out, but it was uttered in every primetime event. Trump denounced so-called cancel culture as like an insidious left-wing thing. He, Donald J. Trump, has tried to get dozens of people and entities canceled, fired, boycotted, including literally last week, Goodyear.
Yeah, and I mean, that was less than half of the thing that he went through. And it's obviously all true. And it's just so much that you just have to like let it wash over you, take a sip from your drink, Anderson Cooper style, and realize that for the audience that speech was for, they don't care.
So the takeaways from the convention are these. 1, lower ratings than the DNC. For all Trump's bragging about how great his ratings were, not as many people watched it. So he failed at that. 2, the lying. So Daniel Dale does an amazing job of doing something for literally 3 minutes. At the end, he just went for like a minute and a half straight because it was non-stop. And 3, it's incoherent. None of the attacks work together. That's something that's being overlooked. They say that America's safer under Donald Trump, but that it's less safe under Donald Trump. And every argument that they're making doesn't make any sense. They're saying that, you know, the Democrats want to let everyone out of jail, but Donald Trump proudly did prison reform, which let everyone out of jail. Like, which is it? It doesn't make any sense. And it is our job to call them out for that. And it is your job as a voter to not let him get away with it.
What I don't, you're 100% right. And virtually every topic you could point to that's sort of what's going on, is that they want to have it both ways. And I know Emma made a great point about this, about criminal justice reform and Joe Biden last night on the coverage, where like you could totally attack both Biden and Kamala Harris for having a history of the sorts of actions that would make the people who are protesting in the streets really hesitant to get behind them and question whether they would actually do anything if they got into office. The issue is that Donald Trump doesn't actually want to connect all those dots because he doesn't want to seem supportive of the protest movements, because he's not. So he'll point out some of the things that they did while simultaneously saying that, but they do actually support the protest movement and they'll defund the police and all of that. But you shouldn't vote for him because he voted for the crime bill. It's just so confusing. And in a more meta sense, that whole convention was the pandemic's gone. We don't have to think about it. And look at the great job growth, ignoring, of course, that we still haven't recovered like a third of the jobs that were lost during the pandemic. So it's ignoring huge portions of what's going on and then hyper focusing on one portion of what's going on, which are the protests and all of that, but saying it doesn't matter that it's me who's president right now. Somehow that's Biden's fault.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people right now who do polling and all that, they're like, this is potentially a great line of attack for Donald Trump. I guess. But how does it make any sense? He's president and this is happening, and it's been happening for months and months. It's a crisis that, like many other crises of his presidency, he has done nothing to improve and in fact has made the situation far worse in real time.
So yes, is the short answer to what you said. However, messaging, Dems suck, and messaging, Trump's a marketer. And so the policy doesn't play as it's being presented by Democrats. They're just not doing it. And an argument that you made for, and what it would take to make that argument against Trump or against Biden and Harris, as you suggest they could potentially do, is much more complicated than saying Joe Biden is a radical left wacko. And they just want to say that and say that and say that. And one thing that's been reinforced as the media landscape has changed, as Republicans have solidified their hold on their base through Fox and massive orchestrated social media campaigns and funded right-wing extremist blogospheres, for lack of a better term, they can say things until they're true. And the way that it's filtered as a default setting for mainstream media is to present that argument at least as half of the two arguments, even though they're wildly untrue and utterly incoherent. And then what the Democrats need to do is find a way to message as concisely and effectively as Trump. Luckily, all the facts are on their side. Trump is unresponsive and doesn't take responsibility. He did not, and 180,000 people are dead. That is 90,000 Ebolas. That is 45,000 Benghazis. 45,000 Benghazis. Along the way, he was late on masks. He said we're doing too much testing. Those are things to cover up for him. But worse, let's look at his record. Let's look at Dr. Donald's medical record. His medical record is not just that, but it's disinfectant. It's ultraviolet light under your skin. It's, we really need to amplify the voice of the demon semen doctor.
Yeah.
He is terrible at all of this. And what evidence can I point to? 180,000 people, Americans, are dead. And did this happen everywhere else in the world? No. This just happened here. You look at the EU per capita, it's like an eighth the infections that we have. It's way fewer deaths. He failed. And if he was in charge of Team America on an episode of The Apprentice, Donald Trump would be absolutely fired.
Yeah.
So let's 100%. Do that. We got to fire him.
Yeah. And then they need to do the right messaging if we're going to get to that. And we're going to have more on the pandemic in just a moment. Before we move on with that, and it'll be our last section on the speech, I do want to see what's going on with the audience. Today on the Super Chats, Franklin Sharpslicer, first through the gate, saying, finally Friday and it's over and we're all overwhelmed, especially with John and others at the helm. You and we, TDR and TYT, will need to flush the crap, don't you see? And that's part one. Part two, I propose just 2 minutes, just people of TYT, a peaceful breath for serenity. The Ferengi will be there for us laters, that 2 minutes, will help us deal with haters. Yea, stash and trash in a flash, then dash. Nice. At the very least, 2 minutes of screaming serenity now. It might make us feel a little bit better. AJ, thank you. Okay, Kai Allen says Dragon Daddy and Dragon Uncle. Hey, we're related, Brett.
I'm a Voncular.
Nice. Angry Little Nobody says, John, how do you feel when various shows have Republicans on? It always seems like they're giving a platform for spit and lies. Chris Christie was recently playing apologist on Colbert, and it was sick. Yeah, I mean, partly it's going to depend on the host and whether they take the time to call it out. Sometimes the strategy is to tell so many lies that you wouldn't be able to have a show were you to stop and to correct all of them. Yeah, I get it. They want to seem fair or whatever. I don't know. Over on Twitch, Brooke Marks says he definitely did speak at John's wedding. Definitely. I wonder if Brooke Marks had spoken at my wedding. I wonder what she would have said. Trashy Play says, I love you, Brett. So you got one person. Obi-Wan Kenobi says, Brett as Tinkerbell fan art, please. I need it in my life. Yes, please. Norma, please get on that. That cute bird says, I love your t-shirt, John.
It's not fan
Thank
art
you.
When it's someone who works at the company. Just
She's
saying.
a fan. They're all fans.
I
anyway,
hope to have Brett
great
as
Shirt,
Tinkerbell
shop
emote done
TYT.com.
by the end of the show, John. I will
I
focus
hope so.
on this show, but I'll be with you in a minute.
I hope so. Tough Linchin says DJ, TJ, and Guilfoyle used up all the coke on day one. Sad Trump for the next 3 days. Oh, that's sad. Okay, and Gabby over on Twitter at #TDR Live says Trump's energy level was so diminished because his son did all the cocaine they'd set aside for a week. Yeah, who knows? Donald Trump Jr. says the lights were in his eyes. I get it. It's annoying to have lights in your eyes. Maybe that's what it was. And with that, If you haven't already hit the like button, please do that. Anyone who joined us since we started the show. But we are going to launch back into a little bit of the speech, not of the speech itself, but of the situation in which it took place. A lot of people had a problem with it.
The fact that there were 2,000 people in close quarters on the South Lawn there with no, seemingly very few of them with masks, no social distancing, ignoring all of the public health recommendations. I suspect that's going to get a lot of comment in the next few days.
And it should, because it wasn't just that he gave a speech at the White House, it's that he had a crowd there. And I remember when Melania spoke and they had the crowd of what looked like 100 to 130 people or so. Doing that coverage with Ben Dixon, I said, Trump's definitely going to want a crowd. Do you think they're going to get like 200 people, 250 people? I never would have imagined that they would pack literally thousands of people into extremely close quarters with very few masks. A few, I was looking and I did see a few, but the vast, vast majority not wearing masks. Now, we're going to have more on this, including the White House explanation for this. But Brett, did you predict a crowd of 2,000?
No, I didn't. I mean, I don't know how big the South Lawn is. I thought he might give this speech from a pulpit in the White House. But someone was probably like, you might want to stay off of that because that's where Obama announced that he killed bin Laden. You might not want to do that. But yeah, I had no idea that they'd bring that many people in. I know, but now I can imagine what that process was like. Things like, yeah, where do we do it? And then on the back, him looking out and saying, we need 1,500 people. But it's not just that. It's he turned America into 1780s France, because the monarch on his way out has invited the nobility to the castle. He turned the White House it's the people's house. It's supposed to be the people's house. He turned it into Trump's house. He turned it into a castle and invited the nobility in. And if all you need to see is the people walking out of District 1 looking at all the folks that have to play in the Hunger Games to know that this is insane and there is no way in hell it should be allowed. But
exactly, and
this isn't America, what he has done. It is not America. It is
Fox and Friends,
is pre-revolution France.
Yeah, except a little bit more death culty. Like the reason the title is the title of the video is called "He Force Feeds Kool-Aid" is that he brought them in knowing that anyone who's invited, if you want to be taken seriously as a Republican, you're going to want to go, even though you're going to be sitting next to Marjorie Taylor Greene or whatever. And if you wear a mask, you're going to be mocked and heckled and questioned. Your loyalty is going to be questioned. And so they have to go and they have to pack in there and they're not going to be safe. But to show their loyalty to their God Emperor, they got to do it. They got to risk their life. They got to potentially be the next Herman Cain. That's 2,000 people. That is a third the size of the Tulsa crowd, perhaps more tightly packed in. And there might be more coronavirus floating around in America than there was back then. And so they potentially could get sick. In 2000, if there is coronavirus spreading there, there will be hospitalizations. And even if only 1%, if there's a 1% fatality rate or something like that, that'll be deaths potentially. And so Jim Acosta talked to the White House and said, why in this situation would you do this? And here's the explanation that they gave.
We not only heard a lot of gaslighting tonight, we possibly saw and witnessed some super spreading from this event. And I talked to a senior White House official earlier this evening about all of these people, hundreds of people sitting side by side in the audience, not wearing masks. And the senior White House official brushed off these concerns about the lack of social distancing at the president's speech tonight, saying, quote, and get this quote might blow you away. Everybody is going to catch this thing eventually. Those are the words coming from a senior White House official about the concerns being raised about this being a possible super spreader event tonight. It reminds me of what a White House coronavirus task force told me one time about the president's grasp of this pandemic. He simply doesn't get it.
Yeah. So you're worried that people might get it. Oh, so our explanation is everyone's going to get it. Literally everyone. So when I say and have said that they've given up, it is like the official position. No, just everybody's going to get it. And really fast, How many times have I criticized him for his just let it wash over us thing? Let's do the herd immunity, even though now he says that other people wanted to do herd, to go herd, not him. No, they're going herd. That was a herd of Republicans that you just saw, and they said, yeah, of course they're going to get coronavirus, and of course they're going to be more Herman Cains. That is the plan at this point.
Right.
Look at that massive crowd of people risking their life.
Yeah, it's so stupid, and they're all old. And then, and the herd immunity, the herd is a great term for it, because then the White House gates that they walk through to get in there are like the Temple Grandin system to guide cattle to the slaughter. Like that is what we just experienced. And it's about leadership, and it's about taking responsibility. Trump was unresponsive, and he is irresponsible, and that is absolutely it. He was unresponsive, and we need to hold him responsible for his failures.
I agree. I just want to show one more clip because a lot of people were responding in real time to the fact that they decided to, they didn't even test people. How could you not test people? They have unlimited 30-minute tests on hand if they want it, and they just aren't doing it. They're choosing not to. It's madness. But here is Dr. Sanjay Gupta as we were finding out about this.
Well, you know, what I thought of, and I've just been covering this for so many months now, is that the history books will be written about this chapter in our lives at some point, and it will show events like that and say that in the middle of a pandemic, at a time when the country decided to shut down, when there were 5,000 roughly people were infected, and at a time when there were more than 5 million infected, we started having events like that again. I mean, it's really frustrating. It's mind-boggling, and I think it shows that there's certain segments of the population still have not learned or are not paying attention to what this virus is. That's a real problem. There will be people who became infected as a result of that event last night, and there'll be people who will spread it and possibly require hospitalization, may even die. You don't want this virus, okay? The more that we're learning about it, even in people who have minimal symptoms, there's a percentage of people who become long haulers. They have symptoms for months afterwards, and maybe it becomes something that they live with. We don't know.
Yeah, I was just reading recently about some sort of weird cognitive issues that are cropping up like seemingly months after some people have been infected. It's still causing problems, let alone all the problems of your other internal organs that we've already known. But no, it's just, hey, whatever, you know, this is the Kool-Aid. You drink it. Maybe you have heart problems for the rest of your life. Just drink it. Just chug it down. Everybody's got to.
Well, it's an admission of failure. He admitted it. That's it. Done. Finished. Everyone else fought against it. All the smart people fought against it. Everybody else who wanted to do something because they cared about human lives fought against it. And other countries won, man, and we lost. Why? Because of Trump's actions, straight up. 180,000 people are dead, and he is not trying to win anymore. And like this weird, terrible fact of the matter of living in Trump's America is he convinces people to give up. Like he convinces people to stop fighting because he's such a bratty loser baby. And that's it. Think about it. We need to take these moments where we like open the door and walk outside and of our little bubbles, and the light blinds us because, and I compared it to a fart smell. We're just in the room with the fart smell for so long we stop smelling it. But we need to step outside, come back in, and breathe and go, oh my God, he failed us so miserably that he just keeps farting. And now we're like at that part where we just kind of accept it. No, we need to take him out and breathe and bring a whole bunch of air freshener back in that place till it goes away.
Exactly. Take him out in the metaphor of the fart room. Yes. Okay, we're going to move on to other news.
Take him out metaphorically.
Of the fart room, yes. Ginger Red Shoes sent us in a super chat saying, Brett is breathing fire today. Preach it, Dragon Uncle. He's the weird Dragon Uncle, though, I think. Anyway, Wayne I'm kidding. It's a metaphor, buddy. Wayne Sugihara says, TDR t-shirts now featuring John and Brett. That's fine. If that's what it takes after years to get a t-shirt, it can literally just be John and Brett. I'll take it.
I don't care. It could be such a stupid idea as having Brett on it. Fine, I'll settle for that. Thanks, John. Made me
Yes.
feel really good about myself.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
I'm changing my facial expression in this Tinkerbell emote.
Get Brett on Tinkerbell. You could do that as one, but there's got to be like, I just don't want there to be no t-shirt by the time we stop doing this show. That's all I want. Anyway, Taylor Sweeney says, thanks for giving us reasons to smile this year. We appreciate you. Hashtag Demon Seaman. That's a way to end it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Zane says, super spreader. Sounds like a crazy sex position. Thanks, Zane. Jesus. Okay.
No sex position is crazy.
Exactly. Let's not, whatever, super spread shame. Franklin Sharpslicer says, 7,000 watching now. Hit the like if you know how. If you don't feel dumb, just press till blue the upward thumb. That's good. I like that.
So
but please
good.
do that. Please blue the upward thumb. Full Throttle TV says Trump's Vancouver hotel closed and claimed bankruptcy today.
Yeah, I knew that.
Well, lasted for a while. That's interesting. Okay.
So obsessive.
Oh, on Twitch, Tufaflinchen. That's how it's pronounced. Okay, I will try to remember that. But I appreciate the readout. Keep striking back, Dragon Squad. Thank you. Okay. Maniac Rashly, which I'm almost certainly also mispronouncing, says, at Brett, just got to say, your special kind of goofiness always brings me joy. Thank you. That cute bird just repeated over and over, I love John. Like that cute bird was holed up in like a snowy mountain hotel. It was just scrawling it over and over. Thank you. The Rock L says, OMG, I love you guys. You so just make me also look forward to Friday mornings. After a very long week, nothing like ending it with some good laughs. Thank you both. No, thank you. Thank you. By the way, in terms of the super spreader, like I was already thinking about people getting the symptoms, and then they cut to a shot of Rudy Giuliani, who was like desperately mopping the fever sweat on his head. He looked like he was dying in real time.
He's a terrible human being.
Anyway.
He had so much
his
promise.
speech was
That's what's so crazy.
So bad.
He's given up.
Thought he's a president. Yeah, I know. His speech, man, that was something. Anyway, with that, we are on to our B block at 10:46. Woo!
No one knows what B block is, John. Stop being so inside
it's the
TDR.
Second block.
No one's gonna be. No one can.
I'm pulling aside the curtain and showing people stuff that will bore them. Anyway, okay, let's talk about Jim Gaffigan. How about that? Can we do that?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know. Do we have Jim We have Jim Gaffigan B block or B roll. Interesting. Okay, let's do it. And in the B block, Jim Gaffigan has long been one of my favorite comedians. His Netflix shows I've watched 1,000 times each. But generally his comedy is not. It's not Dave Chappelle or Chris Rock. It's not highly political, tapped into what's going on socially. It's awesome observations about food and commercials and travel and stuff like that. But that ended last night. He apparently reached his limit and he began a tweet storm. I'm only going to read you a few, but there's many. And I'm going to try not to swear because these were littered with F-bombs. Hopefully they've all been censored. Let's find out together. Trump derangement syndrome is part of the con. Wake up. You know Fox News is biased and full of loons. It's how they gaslight and silence criticism. Do you think any of those congressional Republicans really believe in Trump, or do they fear him and don't want to end up like Flake? Please don't buy that socialist crap either. Obviously, that's okay. You can say that. Yeah. Obviously, Obama wasn't a socialist. This is all lies to scare you, and you know it. Biden is not radical. Are you serious? Heading to bed, but remember, if you want to sound crazy, please tell me about the deep state. To sound stupid, please be against cancel culture, but then accuse anyone with an opinion of virtue signaling. Trump derangement syndrome is meant to distract from the con of Don. I don't give an F if anyone thinks this is virtue signaling or whatever. We need to wake up. We need to call Trump the con man and thief that he is. And there was a lot more, but I like finally seeing people push to the point where they have to say something. And he was pretty far away from political commentary, at least in his stand-up. I liked it. I know he's getting criticized this morning, but I love it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I love Jim Gaffigan, and there's things people do know about Jim Gaffigan. It's not just that he is apolitical, it's that Jim Gaffigan is also religious. Like, he's a religious guy. He's a man of faith. He's a Catholic. He definitely brings that into the content that he's created. I mean, he is like the whole, in terms of his popularity, he is like the wholesome comedian who made it huge. And that's what I like about Jim Gaffigan. He's the hot pocket. Like his joke
and the voice
are about. He's like, I don't even like. I've just been starting to go to the supermarket and throw avocados away there.
That's good.
Like
good.
it's like it's just not worth bringing it home to throw it away later.
That's a great point. Yeah.
And,
no, it's a lot about food.
Yeah, and just from a comedian's perspective, like the way that Jim Gaffigan tells his jokes is very slow. It's like little bits where he's just a little funny here, a little funny there, and just like gets you off balance. It is not like a rant-based comedian.
No.
It's not like that. It's not just observational, but like it's not like Dennis Leary where it's like, can you believe these jelly donuts? Like it is,
yeah.
I just, avocados, hot pockets.
Mm-hmm.
And his way of, he typically like summarizes for you as an aside what the audience is probably thinking, like, oh, he's lost it now. But he does that voice that way. It is the opposite of what you see here. So when Jim Gaffigan, the typically reserved comedian, comes out and does stuff like this, I mean, it is a huge moment for him. And he is a very popular comedian.
Yeah, no, he totally is, and definitely watch his specials if you haven't already. I honestly do love them. I like a lot of different types of comedians, but I have legit listened to everything he has on Netflix at least 7-8 times, all of them, over and over. I don't even care. I'll keep listening to him. He's very good. And by the way, he's been on TYT before. He was interviewed by Cenk Uygur. So, feel free to tweet him to come on TDR. That'd be pretty cool. I love him. We can talk about politics. He a lot of his tweets were trying to get through to Trump voters, like, he lies constantly and you don't care. And he talks about how he says, I know you hate snobs and elites. I get it. But look at Ivana and that D-bag Jared. You think they're on your side? Do you think they've ever done a real day's work in their lives? Wake up. These are just true. Like you say that you hate cancel culture. Trump tries to cancel everyone. You say you hate the elites. You pick the biggest elite. And like, these are things that obviously we've talked about over the years, but I like seeing more and more people being vocal about it. And I know it's a different topic, but when the NBA and all those other leagues were starting to do their boycotts and everything, yesterday on the coverage of it, I pointed out a tweet by The Rock where The Rock is delaying something. And he was talking about the shooting of Jacob Blake because, and the reason it stood out to me is because The Rock never talks about this stuff. He doesn't delve into politics literally at all. He's very brand safe and everything. And maybe this is just 2 data points that are totally unrelated and they're not indicative of anything. But I like to imagine that maybe more and more people over time are being forced to acknowledge how crazy things have become. And if Trump does get reelected, I don't know what we do to limit the damage, but hopefully we'll be doing it together.
The skill of the politician is to be able to win the votes of the populace and then not have to admit that what they want is what they need. And what they're feeling should actually be reflected in the behavior and like legislative ends of the politician.
Yeah.
And that translates to just general topics and public opinion. Like the Republicans want you to think that things like the NBA strike is unpopular, that athletes protesting is unpopular, that Nike standing up just for the general idea that there is some systemic racism, there is some form of systemic racism in America, and embracing a concept like Black Lives Matter. They want you to believe that that's insane. But a poll came out today saying that 2/3 of Americans, by a 2-to-1 ratio, Americans are in favor of the strike of professional basketball. Like,
yeah, you're 100% right.
And Nike made those decisions because they think that it's popular, because it is absolutely popular. And all the Republicans have going for them is Frank Luntz. Frank Luntz, who's a pollster, who essentially a focus grouper, who's like, what can I say over and over again to convince people that the truth isn't true? Yeah. And that this little feeling that, and it's not even like a feeling, it's putting these 2 words together feels like that portrays an issue, a topic, an America, when really it does not. It is just focus grouped and artificial and takes advantage of essentially people's heuristics.
Yeah, it's this weird coming together of a person who is, for whatever other faults he has, and it's a long list, is good at gaslighting people, and an ever-increasing percentage of the population that is like, just give me the tube. I just want to suck on this gas. Just give me as much gas as you can possibly. Like, they desperately want to be lied to.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, good job, Jim Gaffigan.
Right.
Everyone, please get him on the show.
I get it. I get that you're doing something rhetorical, but like, it's not. They want to feel right. They want to feel superior.
That's
Everybody
what I mean.
does. Yeah. But it's not that. But
yeah, your
they
willingness
don't go out
to
wanting to be lied to. Everyone would prefer that the thing they're told, they already believe that they're the best. They also want to feel right. And they just need someone to confirm that in a way that they don't reject. And that sweet spot right there is how the Republicans operate.
Yeah. Agreed. Just a couple of quick tweets and super chats and all of that before we jump back into it. Agent 16384 Smith, nice. Thank you for you are amazing. Very nice of you. Appreciate it. Big fan of Agent Smith. I watched The Matrix recently again, outside, and oh god, just holds up perfectly. You just watch that over and over. No?
It's terrible. I just rewatched The Matrix, and I was like,
insane.
Masculine. It's the only way to fly.
He's not the star. He's not the star of the movie.
Right. A lot of the action sequences hold up, and it's a cool idea, but like it doesn't.
It is like a perfect fantasy novel, basically, with awesome visuals.
Right. There's just certain parts where you're watching it going like, "Oh, that didn't go well. No one talks like that. This is douchebags, and that's the trenchcoat mafia."
Yeah.
It's very douchey. It's very douchey.
I know,
Tasty.
but
And then it's also.
Oh no, I like that guy. Don't talk about Tasty Weak guy.
Maybe if I had a little wider face, I would have been Leonardo DiCaprio. But it's not wide enough. My widow's peak isn't as defined. People think that Leonardo DiCaprio is perfect because his widow's peak is a solution set sign.
I don't. That's funny. Agent, thank you for your other super chat as well. Aloy says, Dragon Squad family from South Texas, RGV. We love TDR. Watch every day. Thank you for all you do. Thank you. I have family in RGV, actually. Zane says, Anna stole TDR's hashtag show me the puppers for main show. It's totally cool. She has a great pupper to show.
And, well, it originally was supposed to be 90s dancing, and I forgot to change the lower third to dogs. So that's why it says share the stream, get 90s dancing. I was like, oh.
Look, she is the only reason I have this job, basically. So she can take literally anything she wants. But I think her doing the singing or the dancing is a better goal. But we'll see.
I do too.
Do it once. Tails says, some of you may die, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. Lord Farquaad. Yeah. Yes, there was big Lord Farquaad energy last night. Okay. Let's see. Bart's t-shirt idea for TDR. Let me stimulate you. No. Orpheus tweeted in shirts with John Iadarola and Brett Erlich that just says garbage people. Just our faces and garbage people. I hate you.
I do want to say I did make Mia's Tinkerbell. I even forget what started it, but I've already made and it's available. Brett Tink or Turks Tink with my face on it in the emotes.
By the way, I love how productive you can be while live on the show with me. Where's this Turks Tink?
I
don't see it.
Turks Tink. Hit refresh.
Why don't you send it out and then I'll see it.
Look at the Twitch.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Everybody's got to go to Twitch and see that. Anyway, with that, we got to get to a few more stories. So we're going to jump right back into it with Nancy Pelosi. See, I did that so that we'd have time to get the B-roll up, but man, he was on it. It was instantly there. Anyway.
He's reset it, and he's going to do it again because you're wasting time.
I am. See, I just did it again. Anyway. Skip's a nice guy. I like messing with him, though. Nancy Pelosi, not a huge fan of the upcoming debates. I get it. I doubt many people are anticipating them, but her her view of it is a little bit different and what she wants to be done. Here's a little bit of her talking with reporters.
Don't tell anybody I told you this, especially don't tell Joe Biden. I don't think that there should be any debates. I do not think that the President of the United States has comported himself in a way that anybody should, and that has any association with truth, evidence, data, and facts. I wouldn't legitimize a conversation with him, nor a debate in terms of the presidency of the United States. Now, I know that the Biden campaign thinks in a different way about this, but I thought what he did in the 2016 was disgraceful, stalking Hillary Clinton like that.
Yeah, so look, the debates were weird back in 2016, but you gotta have debates, right? You can't, and I don't even like. We would hate it if they were saying the debates should be canceled. We hate it when people being primary don't have debates. So I feel like we should be consistent on this, right, Brett?
So in politics, if you're leading, you don't want to debate anyone because debates give your challenger more opportunities to present themselves in a positive way relative to you. You don't want to give him that real estate. So that is an overarching strategy, tale as old as time. That moment where Nancy Pelosi takes the lectern and essentially says, between you and me, she's prepared this burn. That is a place for an awesome burn. That was not an awesome burn. I think if you if you kind of brought in what Trump just did with Biden saying, I want to challenge you to a drug test leading into it, and said, listen, I challenge you not to lie for a week. If you don't lie for a week, I'll debate you every time you don't lie for a week. We'll have one a week, but leading up to it, you, your daughter, your surrogates, they can't lie for 1 week. Here's a list of your lies from the convention. And then play things like Trump against all odds brought the North Koreans to the table. They always wanted to meet with us. All the things that Daniel Dale listed, all the lies like Joe Biden wants to defund the police, straight up lie, like explicitly a lie. Go through all of it. The tax cuts put tens of thousands of dollars in middle income families' pockets. No, they didn't.
Veterans Choice.
He signed the Veterans Choice Act. More money was put in people's pockets during the Obama administration than was put in as a result of this epic tax cut. So we'll do debates, but embracing that kind of messaging that Nancy was flailing to figure out, which was like, listen, he's going to bastardize the conversation. No, prove to me that you can tell the truth for 1 week and I'll debate you.
Yeah, I kind of like asking him not to lie at all is one thing, but just like, okay, we've compiled a list of your 20 most common lies. Just don't tell these particular lies.
No, because then you write your own ads. Since whenever he lies, you just clip it out and you play it. Like, since we issued this challenge to Donald Trump, it doesn't even need to be Biden. It doesn't have to survive to go around the debates. It's like Trump challenge. Don't lie for 1 week. Try it on. Just try it on. And then the Midas Project, Rebellion PAC, everyone can then just use it and cut those ads. So let's start it. Dragon Squad Assemble, the Trump challenge, 1 week without lying. Someone come up with a better hashtag, and by the end of the show, we'll figure it out. And then after that, we'll put together an ad that says, since we issued this challenge, unfortunately, Trump has lied. And here they are.
Yeah. That's good. I like it. The debates are going to happen, though, regardless of what she said. And I think that Biden's I think he's going to eventually hear that she said that. She did her best efforts. But anyway, it turns out there was a camera in the room. Biden and Trump are set to face off during 3 debates, with the first scheduled for September 29th at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland. So we are 1 month away from the first debate. Asked about these debates, Joe Biden said, I will be a fact checker on the floor while I am debating him. I think everybody knows this man has a somewhat pathological tendency not to tell the truth. I'm used to dealing with bullies. Look, I think that the debates are going to be a debacle. I think that they could actually be a disaster, but they should happen. I don't know about my confidence that Joe Biden is going to serve as a great in real-time fact checker for him. I just don't know. There's so much. He lies so much, so fast, so insanely. Honestly, if Trump sits on that debate stage and just tells the sorts of lies that we were going through, I would be shocked if that was where he capped out on the crazy meter. I think it is going to be literally just saying conspiracy theories about Joe Biden, insulting Joe Biden, like crazily to his face. I think that stalking behind Hillary Clinton is going to seem relatively hands-off compared to what he's going to do with Biden, especially if he's still down 7 or 8 or 9 points going into that debate.
So, yeah.
It's going to be, we're going to do coverage.
That's it.
I'm going to be drinking.
Trump's going to go negative, 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 because going negative polarizes and shrinks the electorate, and the fewer people that show up, the more of a chance that Trump has of winning, period. And JR was kind of saying this in the morning meeting today, and I agree with it, that by the time November rolls around, people are going to be like, there is going to be a high likelihood that this messaging of everybody's going to get it anyway, let's go herd, gets out there. Or the numbers will be down. And everyone just needs to go vote. Everybody just needs to go vote. Figure out a way to do it. But the downside is, while the USPS has dismantled the apparatus for mail-in voting, which is a response to the coronavirus. Like, he's trying to shut that down. Mail-in voting will go up. They tamp that down. But as a result of coronavirus, they're getting rid of all the ways that people can vote in person. So both of these options are gone. And if you don't want to, if you want to go around the mail-in voting situation that's turned into a debacle, you're going to have to go and vote in person. But that'll take even longer than it normally does on a regular election day. And I want to say big shout out to LeBron James, who's trying to get poll workers staffed. He launched a nonprofit so he could staff poll workers so that there can actually be people to work these polls.
Yeah, and I saw part of the negotiations that went on to end the strike in the NBA was they're going to be turning the stadiums into places people can go vote. I don't know how quickly they can turn that around, but that's the idea anyway. Yeah. Okay. With that, Brett, are you ready to end this week right?
Sure.
I should have made more room. Would you like to go first, or so Skip? We're not going to be doing the naturalization thing. We don't have time, so we're going to be skipping to the garbage people. Brett, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay, Skip, can you get my video ready, and I'll intro the segment. Okay, it's the end of the week, and so it's time to take out the trash. Okay, so I've got the actual garbage person garbage can. I'm going to start decorating it soon. It feels good to not have my actual trash from my desk constantly on display on the show. This one's just got people's pictures. And I was looking back. I think one of the last people we put in here was actually Tucker Carlson. So he still belongs in there, so I'm going to put him back. But anyway, there was a lot of garbage this week. There really was. And there were some really horrible people that obviously are terrible. But garbage people tends to focus on certain sorts of behavior. And so for my entry this week, I want to cut right to a video that became a narrative following the speeches last night. Take a look at this video of Rand Paul.
We have Rand Paul here in downtown Washington, D.C., just getting out of the Republican event at the White House with Trump accepting the nomination for the Republican Party for the 2020 election. He is surrounded by a crowd of protesters here, as well as this line of Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police.
Okay, so that's a video. At some point, he starts trying to leave. And look, there's a crowd around him. There's people taking pictures. People are shouting, incendiary, crazy things like stop killing us and, say Breonna Taylor's name and stuff like that. One of the cops gets pushed at some point, except that's not why he's a garbage person. He's a garbage person because ever since that happened last night, up to and including this morning on Fox and Friends, he has been repeatedly saying that he was nearly killed. That those cops stopped the protesters from ripping him apart with their bare hands. They've got protest signs. They don't want to die. Like, by the way, I love that once he's out of that area, he's finally wearing a mask again. He can take it seriously because Trump's not around. They're just saying, like, hey, take this seriously. Stop killing us, things like that. And he has turned it into, these insane rioters would have killed me if they weren't stopped at the last moment. And so for that reason, if we can come back to me, Rand Paul is this week's garbage person for me. Thoughts?
Well, I drew my garbage person. You see who it is, John?
What? That's pretty good.
Same garbage person, Randall Ayn Rand Paul.
That's a good drawing of Rand Paul, actually.
Thank you very much.
Tell me why he's garbage.
This is a paid actor, staged protester, Rand Paul. What are you doing? Where are you? Why are you there? In what world is Rand Paul walking through the streets outside the White House?
Yeah.
For any reason other than to get this photo op. Now, there was a different moment where Rand Paul feels like he was under attack. That's because a police officer shoved a protester who shoved the police officer back. And Rand's like, oh my God. Rand Paul can't even keep the peace with his neighbors. And he thinks, and he's trying to be the authority on what we should do in America to keep the peace abroad. Rand Paul is a liar. Rand Paul says, Donald Trump wants to get out of the Middle East, just like you could have gotten out of Yemen. There's an option.
Yeah.
Trump vetoed getting out of Yemen. Vetoed. Rand Paul was for that. Rand Paul is for getting out of it. But I got count out my daddy. And I wonder what Ron Paul is thinking through all of this.
My God.
What is
That's
Ron?
a great
What's
question.
your dad think about this, Rand? He's got to just, because I don't think that Ron Paul is going to say, that's okay. I'll abandon my principles, wacky though they be. Like Rand Paul has tried. He's tried to straddle that divide, and he's going to bang his nuts on the asphalt when he falls off. Like that's the problem. Like Rand
that's
Paul,
good.
all of that. And what just happened, it's like I said it earlier in the show, they turned the White House into a castle, and they invited the princes and princesses to that castle. And what they're trying to do is turn all of the decent Americans into monsters and animals. That's what they want to portray people as. If you look at that, most of the people were saying, just say her name. Why? Where's Rand Paul from? They're not just shouting Breonna Taylor at some rando. Kentucky. He's the Kentucky senator. He is responsible for that. And his argument here is I should never have to face the people. I should never have to. Why should I do that? What?
Well, he will for a photo op.
He's doing it for a photo op. There is no other reason than to get that. Now, there's plenty of people standing outside of the White House as folks. There was one guy like flipped off an old lady, like got in her face and did that. Like, obviously, I'm against that. Obviously, I'm against all of that. And I think that there's so many people guilty of this one thing, of taking a small group of folks within an organization, within a movement, or just in the same physical space and saying they represent everyone. And a lot of people do. Like there's the ACAB movement, all cops. No, they're not. There are good cops. I love good cops. I believe there are good cops. I know good cops. And I love them so much. I support good cops so much that I want to rebuild the concept of policing around good cops. And I think that's the kind of messaging that America needs to do. And I think that's what like the Joe Biden campaign needs to do, is say, I love good. There are good cops, and I want to listen to good cops and give good cops what they need to succeed. But all this messaging goes nothing, and it just allows people like Rand Paul to be like, oh my gosh, there's a person near me saying that I should do a better job.
Yeah. I hadn't actually really thought about it because I assumed at some point they have to leave. That's pretty good. Yeah, no, people pointed out I didn't crumple it. He's just like put like nice and gently. No, he's actual garbage. He's got to go in the garbage. We don't reuse these pictures because they're unreusable. Yeah, we're 2,000 people just walking out of the gate of the White House back to their cars. That seems unlikely.
They did it on purpose. That's what.
Yeah.
There's no
And
valid
nothing happened to him.
And nothing
Nothing
happened
happened to him. Anyway, and you know what? Things are happening to other people. It's not actually about Rand Paul. He wants to make it about him. But no, the people who, a right-wing militia member, gang member, whatever, were shooting in Kenosha, they didn't just get pushed or heckled, okay? Jacob Blake didn't get pushed 7 times in the back by a cop. This isn't about him and his BS attempts to make himself out to be the victim. And he literally is going on the media repeatedly saying that he was nearly killed. Unfortunately, there was video. Not that it matters. Fox isn't going to show it. Anyway, we have overlapped on our garbage person, which almost never happens. Almost
I don't
never.
think it's ever
Maybe
happened.
Really interesting. Yeah, it had to be him. It had to be him. But anyway, that was after most of the votes for the TDR community garbage person came in. So with 18,000 votes, the community has voted for right-wing media for defending the Kenosha killer. Got 74% of the vote this week. So right-wing media, particularly Tucker Carlson, I'm assuming, absolute garbage for explaining that he effectively had to do it. The 17-year-old had to illegally get a gun, drive across state lines, and murder a few people. I don't want to get myself totally back into that headspace. We talked about it a lot on the show yesterday and the day before, but they're defending people who are trying to hunt us down and kill us. And we're supposed to, it's a civil society that we have. We're supposed to be just talking about the facts or something. They support people hunting us down the streets and killing us. They made excuses for the guy sending pipe bombs to newsrooms. It never ends. Anyway, coming in second, the RNC for not even bothering to choose a platform got 12%. That's funny. Kimberly Guilfoyle for hurting everyone's ears got 8% of the vote. And Jerry Falwell Jr. for being a massive hypocrite got 6% of the vote. That is this week's garbage people.
I do want to say that we ask and you shall receive. Here is some, I don't know if we can see it.
I can't. What is it?
God. Hang on. Give me a second. It's some fan art. Oh, God. I hate wife. I don't know how to use your phone.
You just throw her phone.
I tried to change it. Mine goes down up from the bottom. Oh, from the top.
You send it to us. We'll tweet it out.
Okay, no, we'll get it. It'll be. I'm just gotta turn down the intensity.
Oh, who did that so fast?
I don't know. I'm afraid to touch the phone again.
It's you as a Tinkerbell.
Osborne,
thank
just
you.
A black and white drawing, and that's me in my TYT hat.
I like it. Now, everyone in the audience, that can be your nightmare tonight. Okay, Brett. Thank you, as always, for joining us. I'm going to be joining you later on today on Common Room, so everyone should definitely check that out on Twitch. You got a happy half hour this week?
Happy half hour this week. Phil Iskov, the creator of Sleepy Hollow on Fox and writer on that Chicago Fire show, canceled, so it's my wife.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, thanks, Brett.
Because Phil can eat it.
Okay, well, I will talk to you later on. Thank you, Brett.
Bye.
Bye. And everybody at home, let me just read a few more of your comments, tweets, and super chats. Camilla Reichert with a big super chat saying, it's as if he's forgotten he's the incumbent and the unrest is under his administration. Is he stuck in 2016? When he asks, what has Biden done? He isn't in charge, so I'm not sure what he thinks Biden was going to solve for him. Yeah, I guess it's effective messaging to his base at the very least. That's what people seem to think anyway. Christopher Moore says, Brett, your Brian Williams impersonation during coitus was worth at least a $10 super chat. Love you guys. Thank you for all you do. When they round us up in camps, I hope that I'm in yours. Oh, geez. Yeah, we should come up with some sorts of signals so that once we're in the camps, we can get together into the predetermined groups we want. Leslie says, brilliant, Brett, spot on imitation of Brian Williams, LMAO. I'll never be able to watch him the same way again. Brett, it seems John's attempt to stimulate a feeling in you was successful. Thank you, Leslie. Jonathan Rollier says, TDR, fave show on TYT. I feel like we would be friends, John. We share the same fatigue and frustrations. It feels like we're not so much living through history as living through the end of our species. Hopefully not, but thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate that. Delta Tango says, what if you and your co-host did TYT on Thursday? Thank you, Thursdays. Thanking people who were standouts in the news that week to cancel out garbage people. I like that. I think that's good. We've been trying to come up with some way to do it. That might have to be the way. That's pretty good. Scuba Steve Films, thank you for your Bravo Fox. Theo says Mass Effect Trilogy Remastered coming. Is it really? That's exciting. I enjoyed the Mass Effect games. I'm going to have to look into that. Birkeneck says Trump is like a lean pocket. Take out of the box, put directly in toilet to, mimic, or it's a Jim Gaffigan thing. It's a good one. Thank you. Let's see. Tina Dean says mugs chalk friendly with my garbage person of the week is blank, please and thank you. That's good. That's good. If we were legally allowed to have TDR merch, that would have to be one. It's probably never going to happen. But thank you. Let's see. T-shirt idea. You should actually have a Venn diagram of John's desires on a shirt. Marvel, board games, AOC. That's pretty good. I do like that. I have other likes, but those are probably the top three. Over on Twitch, Kelly June says, John, please wish my husband Bob a happy 32nd anniversary. He is my rock. He is the best friend I could ever have. Bob, happy anniversary. And also Kelly June, happy anniversary to both of you. 32 years. Whew. Congratulations on that. The Mountains Win Again says, The Matrix strikes a chord with everyone who hates the feeling that they are not in control of their own lives. Yeah, and for a lot of other reasons, too. Clint Veal for real says, Brett is canceled. The Matrix is a timeless classic. Hope you're happy, Brett. And here's the thing. We mentioned movies. So did you think that Bart wasn't going to be up in my document? Bart says, Brett is not canceled. The first Matrix movie is a fair movie and does have some importance in the history of filmmaking, but the second and third are boring. Freeway car chases from the second Matrix way too long, and the world did a collective WTF was that when the credits were rolling on the final movie. Okay, I will grant you the third movie had a lot of issues, but that freeway chase on the second, I could have gone for way more of that. That was entertaining. Had a great Morpheus moment. I needed it. Okay, let's see. Over on the hashtag TDR Live, Corey Cunningham showed us both a cat and a dog in one tweet. Fur baby sons and us together, but clearly the one boy was more cooperative than the other. Yes, the dogs aren't necessarily always as photogenic as you want or willing to look at the camera as you want, but thank you for your dog and your cat. Eclectic Miscellaneous says, my take is Trump didn't want to be president at first, but now really craves the power. He keeps joking, not joking that he wants 8 or 12 more years. IMO, he just doesn't like reading from a teleprompter, partly because he has the reading skills of a struggling 5th grader. I get it. But the thing is, he could have not done the teleprompter. He's in charge. He had the big crowd because he wanted it. He chose to do the teleprompter. I don't know. Lots of dogs and cats in the chat over on hashtag TDR Live. So anytime you need a little pick-me-up, definitely go take a look at that. Let's see. Twitch activity. Yes, I agree with Craig on Venn diagram t-shirt. Oh, that's Craig's idea. Interesting. Okay, well, we might have to see if we can do that. We might. And Rob Shively says, hey, John, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but your camera looks like butt. Can you say butt? Butts. Yeah. No, I know what it looks like, but we're going to get it fixed. We're going to get this all worked out, and we're going to have the highest production quality video ever before seen on the TYT network, nay, any network. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be sweet, and it's going to herald the re-arrival of both Anna and Jank in the studio as well. We just need a little time. It's complicated. Come on. Bear with us, everybody. Thank you, Andrew, for your super chat. Thank you, everybody, for watching the show throughout the week. I hope that it was help you get through, and the RNC coverage as well. Man, that was rough this time around, wasn't it? Maybe next time it'll be a little bit better, but probably not. It's going to be the RNCQ convention, I think, by 2024. Anyway, thank you for joining us. I'm going to be joining Brett and JR, as well as another new guest, twitch.tv/TYT for Common Room later on tonight. So definitely go subscribe to the channel. You'll get notifications. You can come hang out with us. We'll have a lot of fun. Until then, try to have a fun Friday. Stay safe out there. Stay sane out there. I'll see you soon.